Hello and welcome to those who are just filing in right now. As an icebreaker with everyone, while we wait for everyone to join, you could just keep continuing chatting in the chat. And we have two questions. Can you please answer if you've encountered challenges in rail freight recently? And tell us what you are expecting to learn from this webinar in 1 to 2 words. Cool. Let's get to it. Okay, so generally what you can expect from today's session, we will give you a rundown on the current rail freight container market in general, a detailed breakdown of rail freight markets across China, Pakistan, and Russia, operational challenges for rail freight and strategies for the way forward, and solutions to implement to improve the situation. Also happening today, we will be doing some breakout rooms for networking, and we will have knowledge sharing with 100 plus container logistics companies. We'll also learn how they solve challenges with equipment sourcing, which is like exactly why you should stay until the end of the session, because this is going to be a great opportunity to grow your network and speak to like-minded individuals, and we'll discuss solutions as well as get a platform demonstration on how container exchange can help. Our first speaker, I just want to quickly introduce the speakers that will be joining us today. Our first speaker is Aasim Siddiqui. He is the Managing Director of Marine Group of Companies, and he will be giving us a rundown of the rail freight situation in Pakistan. I will formally introduce these speakers before they speak each time again with a proper rundown, but I'm just going to go through it very quickly. Our second speaker is Mr. Frank Shao, who you saw already, who I hope has joined us again. I can't see the speakers or the browser, but I hope he's back. Mr. Frank Shao will be giving us a rundown on the rail freight situation in China. He is the CEO of Tiadada, which is a leading international solution company who focuses on the rail logistics for LCL and FCL for eastbound and westbound between China, Russia, and Europe. So we're very excited to have him with us today. Again, I will elaborate on his introduction a bit later before he speaks. The third speaker for our third session is Mr. Richard Squire. He will be giving us a breakdown on the rail freight situation in Russia, and he is the head of International Container Department at ADL Group. Cool. Moving on. Our last external speaker will be Mr. Armand Tubal. He is a retired honorary general member at SNCF, and he teaches rail transport at La Sorbonne University in France. He will be giving us an overview of the current state of the rail freight market in general. So yeah, very looking forward to getting that. And then last but not least, our own Thomas Smith, who is a senior network development manager at Container Exchange, will be giving us, he will show us how rail freight operators can increase flexibility using Exchange, as well as give us a platform demonstration. So we look forward to ending off with some solutions. Before we do start and get into the thick of it, we just have a quick poll for our viewers. So you can go into the poll at the bottom right, you'll click poll, and you'll see that there are 3 questions being asked of you. Answer them whenever you like. Just information gathering purposes.
Great, thank you very much.
Cool. Lyra, I'm not sure if you want to add anything more about the poll, or if that's good.
Could you please answer 3 questions in the polls? You can see this button down below on the right side of the webinar room.
Great, and you can answer in your own time whenever you have a moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. Cool. I will now start officially with our first speaker, which is Mr. Aasim Siddiqui. I just want to give a proper rundown of who he is and why we're so excited for him to be here. So he has developed and financed transport and logistics projects in Pakistan in the last 25 years. He served for 3 years as the chairman of the National Institute of Operations. Sorry, it's cut off. And he's on the board of directors of 14 other companies of the same marine group. He's currently serving as the group managing director of Marine Group of Companies, and he will give us a rundown on the rail freight in Pakistan. Aasim, so nice to have you. Welcome.
Hi, Candice. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm really sorry about the webcam, but I tried everything through another laptop as well, but I couldn't get the webcam to work.
Totally fine. Your voice is enough. We just grateful you're here today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think if you can put down my first slide then.
Yes, you just tell me exactly when I should go to the next slide, but take it away. Thank you.
Wait. Yeah, okay. So basically, here in Pakistan, we have a lot of regional developments related to inland transportation and regional connectivity. About 6 or 7 years ago, the Chinese have decided to connect the southern part of Pakistan from a port called Gwadar all the way to China. But that I assume has become quite challenging because it goes through the mountains, so there's a lot of height. But however, having worked on those projects, what we now see is that, with hopefully some peace coming in Afghanistan, we have Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan and the Central Asian republics who have visited Pakistan and have shown a lot of interest in moving their cargo through Pakistani ports, because we've already developed a highway network now to Central Asia. And Pakistan has run a few container loads also for these regional countries which are north of Afghanistan. Also, and basically, the what you see on the screen in the north are the linkages between China and Europe, the two rail corridors. And so Pakistan has a very strategic importance where we hope that we can link, in the center of these two corridors, so that the cargo that is there for Central Asia and can be connected through the Pakistani ports, and containers from Pakistan can also be connected through Uzbekistan. Can you put the next slide now?
Yes. There you go.
Thank you. So in the last few years, what we saw was there was a rail connectivity between Turkey and Pakistan. So we saw that also being revived by the three governments. And we've seen some movement of cargo between Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan. Well, Iran is under sanctions, so mostly between Turkey and Pakistan. So good, interesting developments that we see. In terms of the container requirements, there are a few changes in our custom systems as well. We have regular flow of containers into Afghanistan, which ranges anywhere between 50 to 70,000 containers annually. So if we take roughly, say, 5,000 containers which go monthly into Afghanistan, the current custom regime was that there was a seal put in at the southern port in Pakistan, in Karachi, and then in the north areas where the border crossing was, they checked that seal. But due to the disruption in trade activity in Afghanistan and in the convince the Pakistani government to review the custom regime. And what they have done is that they have allowed cross-stuffing of containers. So what we will see is, they have allowed it, but it's still under implementation. So there is if a truck takes, let's say, about 2 weeks to take a container from Karachi, which is in south of Pakistan, into Afghanistan and back to Karachi. So we would be requiring, I think about 2 to 3 thousand containers, which will just be doing the rounds from Pakistan into Afghanistan, and then hopefully bringing export cargo as well, which is saman in Afghanistan. And then the same thing would happen for the new cargo, which would be going into Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan. We've had a transit agreement signed with Uzbekistan, and I believe with Turkmenistan and Kyrgyzstan also is in the pipeline. So, one can sort of gauge, and then similarly, for other Central Asian republics which are close. I know that Azerbaijan is also quite keen to work on import transit and export transit routes through Pakistan via the rail. But what we will also see is domestic cargo then, once this trade route is opened, um, where it's flowing, the cargo is flowing cross border through either trucks or train, then a lot of domestic cargo will also start moving. And so we expect a significant rise of requirement for containers, once for, like I explained, for the import cargo, so cross-stuffed cargo routes, and then also for regional trade, which is going to be facilitated due to opening of these regional routes. If you can put the next slide, please. तुमने वो टर्की वर्की का कहाँ दिया हुआ था? ये है। Yes, this is the ये कहाँ पर है? So this is the route with Istanbul, and if you can see that the countries which are in the north of this train route are very keen to join basically either multimodal form of movement. So basically the train goes, loads cargo from Pakistani ports, because these are the countries in the north are mostly landlocked or don't have access to warm water ports. So from Tehran or Tabriz, or even, I've got queries asking, even from Istanbul, they have rail connectivity. A lot of these countries, because their cargo is moving actually through Turkey, a lot of it. So they have good connectivity from Turkey. But once we sort of energize this trade route from Pakistan, then the cargo coming in from Far East can save, at least 2 weeks of sailing time if cargo is offloaded in Pakistani ports and then moved through inland routes. So these things are developing. If you can put the next slide, please.
Yes, I will put the next slide on. I just wanted to quickly interject here and say we have about 5-6 minutes to wrap up before the next speaker, if that's possible. So
yeah, sure.
Cool.
So this is just some estimated, trade volumes from Turkey to, China and Central Asia, Europe and the rest of the world as well. And similarly for Iran and then for Pakistan. This, when we've seen in recent years that whenever the trade connectivity is improved and cross-border trade is facilitated, then these numbers are going to significantly rise, because a lot of the regional cargo will also start flowing. At the moment, it's very inefficient, the trade routes. So this should sort of, give an indication of how many, containers will be required just for this region from, let's say, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Central Asian republics, and Turkey. This, there will be in the next, I would say, a year or 2 years, a significant exploration of both trade potential and the transit trade potential amongst these countries. And we do have a lack of containers over here, the what we call the shipper-owned containers, basically. So shipping lines do have their containers because Pakistan is doing approximately 3.5 million TEUs annually. But of course, they are not interested in the regional trade. They're mostly interested to load their containers onto their own ships. So the demand will be created, and whichever the interested companies are can work through your organization, which identifies containers which may be available in the region. So if you can put the next slide, I can just start wrapping up.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like I said, we've had good meetings with Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan for both transit trade and for bilateral trade. And we hope that the flow of cargo, both for transit and for domestic or regional trade, is going to grow a lot. Can you put the next slide now?
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, so just to wrap up, this is the road network in Pakistan that I said was being developed through a program called the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC, which provides access to the western part of China to the ports in the south of Pakistan. But like I said, the cargo has not started flowing in 6 or 7 years that they have started building. So what the government of Pakistan and the regional countries are working on is regional cargo and how we can increase regional trade and also the transit trade through Pakistan. That's all.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Let me actually go back. Thank you so much, Aasim. That was really informational. If anyone has any questions for Aasim, please can you direct them into our chat, and there will be a session at the end where they'll be able to ask any questions for him. Again, just very grateful and very enthused that Marine Group was able to have a representative and we could align with them, as they are one of the largest and most diversified cargo handling operators providing multiple supply chain and logistics services in Pakistan since 1964. So thank you again, Mr. Aasim Siddiqui.